So after that first session, felt pretty good. I came out with my tire pressures too high, I think, because towards the end of the session, it started to feel really slippery in the rear and I didn't have as much braking grip. So I'm going to go out at 8 PSI instead of 10 PSI because I came in 4.5 pounds higher on my pressure when I came in. So I think that'll be the first adjustment I do. Everything else is set up pretty neutral, and I'm not going to mess with any of it setup because we want to do one thing at a time. So after that one, we'll see how the session goes. That session was good. I started at 8 PSI and I ended the session at 10 PSI. Kart felt good, getting more comfortable in it. So this next time, the front end feels a little twitchy. So I talked to Eric Anderson of Point Karting, and we're actually going to move the tie rods closer to the steering column. We're going to take these right here and we're going to move them up so they're closer to the steering shaft, which should make it a little less responsive and hopefully less twitchy. So we're going to try that and we'll then give some feedback how it goes. Last session of the day, we went back out. I didn't make any other changes. I found out last time that when my rear axle moved, it actually chewed up my sprocket and my chain. So I did check those seat pins on the axle last time, but it looked like they still came out a little bit. So what I'd recommend is just almost every session or two, checking to make sure that Loctite is still on those set screws. You re-put them in there, re-tightening them down, because you don't want that to move at all. When the axle does move as well, you might notice the brakes feel kind of soft, and that was one of the indicators for me. But I lost a good amount of time. I messed up a sprocket, but I got it all changed out. Went back out there. The kart felt good. All right, third session down. What we did was we moved that tie rods up towards the steering shaft a little bit more. It did a great job. It slowed down the steering, didn't feel twitchy. It was really awesome. I did have to redo an alignment. So if you go to Eric Gunderson's YouTube page, Point Karting, he has a great video on how to do an alignment. That's super helpful. So we had to do that. Kart felt good. One thing, when I came back in, I realized my rear axle actually moved slightly, and it's causing it to rub and not perform correctly in the rear. So I'm going to adjust that, make sure all of my bolts are correctly tightened in the back, and then we're going to go out the next time.